Hey everyone, I'm the old man. This is Gyruss, and it is part in my arcade series. My Let's Play Arcade Classics. Played this one a little bit at the arcades. Actually, where I played this one the most was Pudgy's Pizza, because they had a Gyruss cabinet in there back in the day when people had when arcade cabinets were every restaurant would have an arcade cabinet. Those were the days. I miss those days. I wish more restaurants had arcade cabinets, and grocery stores, and pretty much in the 80s, anywhere you went had an arcade cabinet. So anyway, I played this. Played this there, and I also played it a lot on Nintendo because I got it on Nintendo. And this is the version that I'm playing, not the arcade version, because, as I've said, I don't really have a way to emulate arcade stuff. I'm sure there is a way, and all I would have to do is, just go look it up, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to play what's available and easy. And I like this one. Kind of in the spirit of Tempest. I never really played Tempest. But the whole going down the tunnel thing, definitely, is cool. And I've actually gotten all the way to the end of this particular game on the Nintendo version. I did get all the way to the sun and beat the boss. I may have used a Game Genie to do it, but that shouldn't matter, should it? I did it. That's the important thing. And you always want to get the bombs. And, what else was I going to say? Arcades, weren't they fun? Now all the arcades, if something says there's an arcade, it's like, I have to be all, suspect, because it's like, okay, now is it an arcade, or is it, just, skee ball and ticket machines and a broken thing of Time Crisis 4? Are we really talking about actual arcade cabinets that you can put a quarter in and play, or is it just stupid ticket stuff? Because that's not an arcade to me. That's an amusement park. And Gyruss actually has bosses, which is kind of unique, I think, for a shooter. I don't know. Has there been any other shooters that had bosses? I can't remember. I'm sure there is. But hopefully this will be a longer video, because I'm actually kind of good at this game. Now, I remember when we were talking about in some of the other videos, I think the Donkey Kong videos, about nostalgia and stuff, and how my generation is asking the question: is my generation more nostalgic than previous generations? And I don't think I ever officially answered yes or no to that, but I kind of think we are. I guess because of the technology, I think we are. Just technology and access, like I said. And also, I would like to... I think that being an adult is awful. Being a kid was much better. I mean, I'm not saying there aren't some hey, Pluto's before Neptune. Because sometimes their orbits cross, if I remember my astronomy correctly. Being an adult is... I don't know, sometimes it's really awful. And because I was reading, and I read it in one of Dave Barry's books, his latest one with, I think he just wrote a kid's book, but I don't read the kid's book, I read the humor books. And he was talking about how his parents had a lot more fun in their adulthood than he ever did. And I am slamming today at Gyruss. I just want to tell you, I've got 5 lives, haven't died yet, nice high score. Slamming it today. But it said that the gist of the column that he wrote was that ooh, I just barely missed that bullet. That his parents' generation, the World War II generation, had a lot more fun as adults than his generation, and consequently my generation. And I think that is absolutely true. That we don't have quite as much fun. I think some of it is first of all, being an adult is just not fun. I mean, I mean, I guess it can be, but for the most part, it's like bills and doing 90, I tell my daughter sometimes, life is like 95% doing stuff you don't want to do and about 5% doing stuff you do want to do. And so there's that. And so and there's not a lot of, I don't know. We just worry way too much. I agree. That was the kind of the thing of his column, or that particular chapter in that book, because he doesn't write columns anymore. But that we worry too much. Everybody worries too much. And his grandparents and my grandparents didn't worry all the time about everything. And I think it's something I think there's a balance. I think maybe they were on the side of not worrying maybe enough, but I think we're definitely on the side of worrying too much. And we worry about everything, and everybody is like worried and offended and scared, and I think maybe we just become a little bit too comfortable with everything, and maybe that's why we're always so afraid that, oops, hey, it's the first time I've died. That's pretty good though. We're just so afraid, I think, of losing. Oh, jeez. Of losing, our comfortable lives, I think. Look at all those bombs I have that I haven't used. Just so afraid of losing things. I know I am. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. My childhood was pretty good, and my life right now, I mean, despite my soul-crushing job, my life is actually pretty good. And when when you have a lot, you worry about losing a lot, and I think that's why, Jesus was always saying not to get all religious all of a sudden, but Jesus said it's hard to enter the kingdom of God, a rich man to enter the kingdom of God, because you just have so much, and you worry about so much. And worry about losing things. And there's definitely something to be said for, being content in the state you find yourself, and, not hanging on to stuff and status and ranks and stuff like that. And something that I'm kind of learning too. But this is about video games. I don't want to get too philosophical. Philosophical, that's the word. That's the word. Let's go back to talking about arcades. I talked about Ocean City in the very first video I did about how wonderful that was, because there was always arcades and that was so fun. I don't want to rehash what I said there, but there used to be back in the day, every Friday we would almost every Friday we would go to Pizza Hut to eat. And there would be a Satan's Hollow machine. I don't know if I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. There'd be a machine for Satan's Hollow, the arcade game. And it's actually a shooter that I really like. Get away from me thing. And, dudes, I'm not on easy mode or nothing. I'm just blasting through this game like a boss. Satan's Hollow, and so I always vividly remember that game and that cabinet and Pizza Hut, and then I usually pair that with Bon Jovi's Wanted Dead or Alive, because they had a jukebox in the Pizza Hut, because back in the 80s there was jukeboxes in restaurants for people to play music on, obviously. Oh, poo. And so those three things always, like, for me are arcade. They used to have a sit-down thing, too. Wow, this is rambling. That's okay. Everybody else rambles in their videos. I've watched some rambly videos on YouTube, y'all. But yeah, so that arcade machine, that's a fond memory of childhood. And like I said, there was Ghosts and Goblins and Rampage at the PNC. It was a local chain of like grocery store chain. They had Jungle Hunt at the 7-Eleven. Trying to think of what else I remember. Get away from me, things. They used to have, I remember there was, back in the day when they had the demos of Nintendo stuff. And they would have, like, a little setup with, like, I don't know how many Nintendo games in it, but like several Nintendo games that you could actually choose and just sort of demo and play. And I remember back in the day when if there was a kid playing that, like people would like use that as a babysitter, and a kid would just sit on there for an hour and just demo games because there wasn't a time limit on it. It wasn't like today where there probably would be a time limit on it. But there was a time, you know, so he would just sit there and you'd be like, "Can I play?" "Oh, I'm not done yet." You know, his mom would be shopping somewhere, and you know what? Why don't I use the bombs? I have the bombs. Why don't I use them? Yeah, you die too. There, get through that. So when I went to that store, or any store like it, Nichols and Hills and all those other stores that we had locally, and I saw that nobody was playing it, I was like, yes! Awesome! I get to play the Nintendo! And then I wouldn't give that stuff up for nothing, man. I didn't give it up either. I sat there and played until my mom came and got me. And then some other kid could look at me and be like, "Can I play?" "I'm not done yet, son. Slow your roll." And so, yeah, that's I guess all I have to say about that. This might have to be like a special edition arcade, depending on how far I get. Though I'm on my last guy, so we might be pretty close to being done. Going to Uranus. Or did I pass Uranus? Yeah, I passed Uranus. And now everything is getting a little bit more complicated. Because of course it is. And then we got these eyeball thingies. I'm not really sure. I think those are... I don't know if you can kill those or not, to be honest with you. Slow down. Slow down, like, you might make fun of slowdown now, but sometimes it was an integral part of the game experience. Like, there's some games that, like, if you go back and do them now and they don't have, because they've been redone and they don't have the slowdown where you remember the slowdown being, it screws you up. You're like, okay, because you compensate. I mean, you played a game 50 million times and you compensate for that slowdown, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, there's no slowdown. What the heck? So, yeah, slowdown. I don't ever think slowdown is necessarily a bad thing. In old games, anyway. I'm sure it's bad in new games. I haven't really encountered it in a new game. You know what I have encountered in new games? Bugs and crashes. That's what I've encountered in new games. Remember a day when you bought a game and then you just like went and put it in your machine and then you played it? Like, and that was all you had to do. You didn't have to like install it, and you didn't have to... Let's see if does these things die? No, they don't. Run away. I guess they do die. That one died. But this one's not dying. That's weird. But then it did die. Anyway. Oh! I was going to talk about now we have to install and update and all that crap, but that doesn't matter. We're done. 1 credit. I got far on that one. 1 credit. See you next time for more arcade classics, and like, comment, subscribe if you haven't done that already, and I'll see you next time.